Muy buenos dias, everyone. I hope everybody's doing well, blessed, and enjoying family. As always, muchas gracias to everyone for everyone's words, wishes, prayers, and the love you guys extend and share with me. Also, muchas gracias for everyone's support. If you're new to the channel, do please like, share, and comment. It'll be a pleasure to answer. Gracias. Well, everyone, it's like 4 in the morning, but for reasons everyone knows, I have problems, right? But I'm gonna try to put something together for you. I've been asked a lot to touch on if I ever seen anything crazy, right, from Texas. And you guys know I don't really touch on war stories, but this one's a crazy one I seen, right there in Flores, Arizona. Basically, it's no, I still had some time, right, before they took me to Eloy, but nevertheless, for those that don't time, when you're at Palabrado or whatever you want to call it, right, you're under the wing of Billy's, your name circles ASAP, right, state, fed, wherever. And, I got to, right there to Florence, right, and, right away, we started, moving things around, right, and a person that I was doing we were doing negocios was Indio from HPL or Hermandad de Pistoleros Latinos. I don't know if anyone has heard of them, right? It was the first time I heard it, right? But nevertheless, Homeboy had an angle that you guys know we wanted to tap into as he wanted to see certain things from our end, right? They were real low in numbers. And even though they had a big squad or a strong squad, excuse me, because the Tango Blast was with them, right? They're working hand in hand, Before I continue, allow me to apologize. I don't know the politics of Texas, the ins and outs, nada is why I refer from touching, right? On different things that I know to some sense the ins and the background behind things. So again, do correct me. But anyways, Indio was there and he had a lot of weight. There was a homie, what was it? I forgot. He was a Tango Orejon, right? Do excuse me, you'll come to me. But they were the ones that they always had jale, right? The angle that Indio had was, they have real high connections to Nuevo Laredo, not just Texas, Tamaulipas too, right? And you guys know to touch or be in good with the Golfos is something rare, right? And of course, since they have that short court cruising, prices are better. It's just facts, right? Then it's coming down from Sinaloa or Zacatecas or whatever. Michoacan is right there, right? They get prices right there in Tamaulipas. So, anyways, it was just something that Billy said, requested whoever, not just to me, that could see if maybe something could get done there, right? So we started working out something, and unfortunately, again, they had the paisas there were divided in the sense that some were with the vatos from HPL and Tango Blast, and some paisas was with the La M, or however you call it, right? La M from Texas, and they were joined there with Aztecas. They were working hand in hand because, again, Texas M is their own thing, right? And they were working that angle with Juarez. And for those who know the rules and regulations, or at least the wiggles in Mexico, you know that Juarez and Nuevo Laredo, Golfo, they have bad blood. And even though you could say these were homies, right? Chicanos, they were still, they carried that in the prison, right? And again, it wasn't our issue, but just to get into what we were doing, right? Real short and well, just shortly, right, for obvious reasons. But basically, when it came to prices of Blanca, Polvo, they had better prices than what we were getting, right? They weren't like, oh, que loco, nada así, but regardless, it was more rápido and, you did save some bucks. And again, the feds, when it comes to pilis, camaradas that have it like that, they're not stuck in califas, right? Of course, when they get out, they go back to where we're from, right? And they start bumping heads trying to work califas, but in the feds, you got all these other options to work different angles. This was one, right? We're trying to get into what was Nuevo Laredo. Well, actually, Indio had good connections to Nuevo Laredo, but he was mostly out there in San Antonio. That's why he knew some Tango Orejons, I believe. Excuse me again, right? But they were Tango Blast, right? But I think they were Orejones. And he knew them from the calles, right? Moving whatever they were moving. And it's why they were so good, right? In the Spinta. And of course, there were Paisas that, for obvious reasons, in Mexico, they didn't get along with Aztecas nor Texas, right? Because they didn't like Juarez, point blank, right? Because, a lot of people define paisas as paisas, paisanos, right? I call them paisanos. To me, it's a disrespect to say paisa. But nevertheless, paisanos are divided in different, right? They have levels to each other. There is paisanos that go back and forth. They're more on this side. And I'm not going to say they're more gangster, but they're more like us, right? But they have that angle of reaching out to the other side. And, certain things are different, right? As, I know my mentality got messed up a lot more than, not to put down anything, but when you're in the calles game banging here and there, or whenever, my homies just hated me, right? When I was out, they love kicking it with me, but they hate leaving the neighborhood with me because I was that idiot, right? I was the one that I left the block and or the projects, and it was go time. I was that fool. We left the neighborhood. We were gonna put in work. If we went out with Hyenas to a party on the way back, we were gonna go put in work. If we went cruising, anybody we see, we're gonna put in work, no butts or ifs. That was part of the neighborhood, right? But anyways, that's what I mean about paisanos being different, right? There's some that grow up with that mentality, and now I'm not saying, all these Tango Blasts and the three patos that were there from HPL, I'll just call them pistoleros, right? From Texas. It's a big gang, right? As later on I got some clecha on it. But again, it's one of them prison gangs, right? In Texas. Texas big. But let's get back to Indio, right? And the homie from Orejon. They were on the yard, they were doing their things, they had a lot of paisanos. I'm not gonna say under them, but supporting, right? And you can feel the tension amongst them and Aztecas and La M, right? Well, there was two individuals. One we call Pato from Aztecas and man, what was this Pato's name? Shorty from La M from Texas. And you guys know off the top, by them being M from Texas, is we're just waiting on a slip up to hit him, right? It's just part of them sindicatos is just whenever you get the chance, whack them. We'll deal with the consequences later. So again, we were working hand in hand with Orejones and the paisanos that were with pistoleros. So when it came out, what happened was in a different pinta somewhere in the system, the M from Texas had hit a vato they called Looney, and Looney was already doing things with certain pilis, But a couple of them you guys know real good, like the retires Rube and Cricket, right? They were tied in with them, so there was blood, right? Well, The appeal we got basically stated, don't get directly involved, but at the same time, don't allow these vatos to get dirty and to lose the angle, the feria. Again, it's all about dope and feria, right? Forget, well, you know, because again, Florence, Arizona, there was a lot of vatos that were short, point blank. There was Pilis there, but they were freshly made Pilis and they were receiving orders from, them, you could say bully Pilis, right? That they get a young Pili and they try to bring him to their police, at least for what it lasts, because I was going to trump that, being humble type of thing, right, to an older member. Nevertheless, that's what came out, afterwards. It was, if it was done, not let him get dirty, right? Get done dirty, excuse me. And it was one of them, riots. It was not big at all. There was with Indio and the homie from, Tango Orejones. There was about 3 Orejones. At one point, there was 3 from, HPL, about 10 paisas, but some incidents had already occurred before I got there with the other 2 that from HPL that were slammed, right? Nevertheless, there was more, Aztecas, paisas, and, Emmett from Texas than the others, but nevertheless, Indio kicked it off, right? And when I said, I done some stickings or whatever you want to call it, right? I'm not proud of it, nor I'm glorifying, but you know, when it came to Dawato Shorty, right, from La M in Texas, that Indio literally hit him like a pig. I'm sorry I describe it like that. I know I'm being sensitive, you could say. And again, I'm not glorifying, but basically he hit him right underneath the ear, and then he literally, he had metal stock, right? He worked metal stock, and he slid him all the way across. And I'm gonna say he cut his head off because that's traumatic, right? But as sure as you could see, he hit the jugular, right? And for those that have seen someone get hit in the jugulars, I seen it 2 times. The whole time I was busted, It only takes about 20 seconds. No, not even, sorry. First time I seen it, I seen the dude from, those that been in the MRs, right? From the workout, from our workout, usually the one at the end, right? From there to where the program office, that dude bled out in between there. He didn't make it. And then this time too, within I don't know how many seconds, I don't want to lie to you, but I just seen the vato get hit and then try to grab his neck, and you guys know that squirts like a water hose straight up, and drop. Man, and he dropped, they danced. It went up between them, and it was one of them where Tango and pistoleros and them paisas, they were all strapped real good, right? I don't know where they got the metal stock, but in honesty, they got their money. I'm talking about, Pato. This is the older Pato too. For those that know, he's in Azteca, right? From Juarez. But, you guys know how that works. And this Pato gave up at one point. I'm not going to say he weaned out because he tried to hold his ground. Again, there were more. And the homies from Orejon or from Tango, they started hitting him to the point homeboy just said, patitas pa que te quiero, and he put it on second gear and he rotated, tried to, but he got intercepted, but a paisano cracked him with one of them candados in el calcetín. And you guys know that most of the time you swing them things, and you'll be able to connect, but there's them beautiful times. Sorry, I cannot describe it like this. It's my dumb mind, my YA mind, because that's what we used in YA the most, right? But you put it into socks, the lock, and there's those hits, right? The vato was running, and Tango, homie, he swing with that lock, and as he's running, it just connected. And I'm not gonna go into details, but you have guys ever seen water lock full force with the angle right of the force as you're putting all the your body weight towards the other opposite angle connect what it does to a face. It was just one of them things, where literally where this is happening is right in one of the edges of the field, right? It's all, and we're literally, I don't know how many feet, right? But we're not far. So I was like, damn. The thing I was surprised the most is the Judas let it go on for a while. Usually Judas, they run out there, but since again, Indio and the people that was with them, they were strapped good, right? It's like they hit the brakes, because oh, you gotta understand Judas too, right? COs, they get good pays, whatever you want to call it, but is it really worth it for them to go in when they see them type of weapons for them to go injured to their family? And I'm not defending them in no way, shape, or form, right? It's just being human, being real, and eventually they would all, you know, once that real gun fire, everybody laid out point blank. And again, it took long, but it came to that point, and man, at the end of the day, from there, after a while, you guys know I went back to Eloy, right? And basically, what happened with Indio was he got hit by Orejon, by a Tango blast. Why? A bad deal in San Antonio. Again, I'm not even gonna try to get into it, but anywhere you went in the system, to be sincere, Tango blast was the strong one from Texas. Most of the time we worked hand in hands with them. We protected, watch each other's back, cause Cali is deep, but it's a big system, right? The federal system. But when it came down, why hit him? Homie made a lot of feria, but the homie from Tango Blast felt disrespected cause he owed him $100. You guys know I don't like to make things too long, but it opened up the door for a different type of war, right? This time we got involved. Cause again, the thing that M is interested in is virgin territory, angles, especially in the feds, right? It's avenues, pipelines, people from different parts. Just think about it like this. If we could tap into Nuevo Laredo and to San Antonio, the wings open, right? The feria, the dope comes in better. And it's exactly what it is. At the end of the day, if you pay attention to all the stories, not mine, but everyone's, it always comes down to you owe for dope. Someone feels disrespected because of dope. The time lapse, right? Something goes wrong in the mid, or simply a Billy tells you to go collect for him over dope. That's all the systems are. It's a dope game. It's money. But remember, it ain't money that goes into your pocket. It's what you put in another man's pocket and what you put in his vein. While you do that, that's what's going to guarantee that you're in good standings. You're for the causa. So my question with this, before I leave you guys, is that a causa you're really willing to give your life, right? It's a different causa than when we grow up, which is that fool I went to kindergarten with, that fool spend the night with his mother, grandmother, aunties. This might be an individual you never met, but just because someone else says he's this, he's dictating your program. So I'll leave this with this. And I always lied to myself, period, point blank. I always said I was welcome in conversations or whatever, right? Because my person had value. I was an idiot, everyone. I never had value. I never had them things between the legs. It's just fact. So again, just be wise. I will continue. Again, my apologies, everyone. I have a lot of problems right now. So I hope I made sense. I just want to put a little war story out there. Again, be smart, stay true to yourself, and loyal to loved ones. God bless everyone.